Welcome to Evo India and welcome to our second video on the Skoda Slavia. The last time around, Sirish told you everything you need to know about the 1 litre TSI. This here is the 1.5 TSI. This is the enthusiast choice. Now, I'm not going to get too far into the details of the interiors and the exteriors. Sirish has pretty much covered all of that. You can watch it here in this video link right at the top of your screen. We're going to talk about the driving. Is this 1.5 litre any good to drive? What is it like on the road? That's what we're going to find out. But before we do that, make sure you like this video. Leave a comment down below. What do you think of the way the Skoda Slavia looks? I think it looks bloody gorgeous. And make sure you subscribe because in the future, we are going to be putting the Slavia up against its rivals, the Honda City, the Hyundai Verna. We'll be doing a comparison test and you do not want to miss that. Okay, we'll get to what the engine is like to drive, but before that I really want to talk about the styling of the Slavia because I think it looks really good. It looks like a mini Octavia, especially when you see it on the road. I think that's a good thing. It has that strong brand recognition, and more importantly, the Octavia is beautiful and therefore the Slavia is beautiful. This blue color looks spot on. The only issue that I have with the Slavia is that this 1.5 isn't really differentiated from the 1 litre in any way. So on the outside, on the style variant, you get the exact same wheels, you get the exact same badges. There's really nothing different about this 1.5 compared to, say, the 1 litre style. And a lot of people may not like that. I mean, if I'm spending big money to get a better engine in my car, I want some sort of visual differentiation on the outside to let people know that this is the more powerful car, this is the sportier car. The RS, it was very subtle on the outside, but it was there was a slight differentiation and that made it so cool. You get inside the car, the interiors, again, there's nothing different here from the 1 litre, and that's actually something I don't really mind because the interiors of the Slavia are very sorted. I run a Kushaq as my long-termer, so this is actually a very familiar place. There are a few differences. The biggest one obviously is the digital cockpit. You've got this nice clear digital cockpit in front of you. I think it works really well, really effective. It's very easy to read. You've got different menus. All of them are very effective at what they're supposed to do. And overall, I think it's very well executed. In addition to that, the dash layout is pretty much the same. You've got some small differences compared to the Kushaq. You've got that bronze line on the dash. You've got circular air vents in the corners. And you've also got your buttons for your ventilated seats and that sort of thing located lower down near the gear shifter rather than on the dashboard. Honestly, it's very well executed. It feels tight, it feels well put together, and I think that's a good job done on the Slavia. And I think it's worth patting Skoda on the back for learning from their mistakes from the Kushaq rather than just repeating them all over again over here. Now, let's get to the bit that you want to really know about. This is the 1.5 TSI engine. The numbers are 148 bhp, 250 Nm of torque. Those are numbers that we are already familiar with from the Kushaq. But what does it feel like in the Slavia? You drop a gear and it feels damn sporty. It's got a good amount of performance. The biggest difference over the 1.5, I would say, first of all, is the speed. The way it picks up speed is much more aggressive. It's much faster. You're doing triple digit speeds in second gear itself, and that's really, really quick. The second way I would say it's different from the 1 litre is in terms of its refinement. This is a 4-cylinder engine compared to the 1 litre's 3-cylinder, and that makes a huge difference to NVH. So at idle, it's not as loud, it's much more silent. When you're ringing it out, when you're really revving it, it is much more smooth and quiet. It doesn't have the same growl that the 3-cylinder has. This one's a lot creamier, a lot smoother when you rev it out, and it has its own charm. What's nicer is that it's not as intrusive into the cabin, so you don't feel as much of it from the floor, you don't hear as much of it. So if you want to take it easy, it's quiet, it's really, really quiet. But when you want to ring it out, it sounds really nice. So you've got the best of both worlds with the 1.5 TSI. That's its biggest strength. Apart from that, yes, the performance, man, that really is something. The Slavia is also lighter than the Kushaq. Not much. It's around 30 to 40 kgs lighter variant to variant, but 30 to 40 kgs can make a difference, and this does feel quick. Is there turbo lag? Well, if you're keeping it in too high a gear that it's not comfortable with, you will feel like there is a little bit of turbo lag. But just around 2000 RPM, the turbo spooling, and you get a nice, great big shove towards the red line. And once the turbo is spooling, there's really no dearth of performance. You gently ease onto the accelerator, and the way it picks up pace is very impressive. You don't even have to be flooring it. If you do floor it though, man, this thing is fast. Another cool thing about the Skoda Slavia is the fact that it gets cylinder deactivation. So when the engine is under low loads or you're coasting, 2 cylinders deactivate, and that saves fuel. So this is a really efficient 1.5 TSI engine if you drive it sensibly. And before I forget, there's also a start-stop function. So when you are in traffic, it will kill the engine, it will save fuel, and all of that makes this even more efficient, even more appealing to the Indian buyer. Now the 1.5 TSI is going to be offered with 2 transmission options. You've got the 6-speed manual that I'm driving here, and you also get the DSG gearbox. Now, what sort of gearbox you want depends on what bent of enthusiast you are. If you're somebody who craves that involvement in the driving experience, if you're always about that shifting, then you want to get the manual. And it's great that Skoda provides you that option. If you are somebody who lives in a city and you like to drive, but you just can't be asked to deal with shifting in traffic, the DSG, it's a brilliant gearbox. Honestly, the DSG, we've driven it in the Kushaq, and it's a really, really impressive piece of kit. It's quick shifting, it's snappy, and I'm sure it'll be the same sort of impressive in the Slavia. But this manual gearbox, this has to be the enthusiast choice. This has to be the car for the driving enthusiast in the Slavia range. The clutch, it's light. The gear throws, they're nice. It clicks in nicely, and you can really have a good time driving the Slavia hard. The Slavia 1.5 is only available in the style trim though. So if you're somebody who wants a bare bones basic Slavia with a nice engine and a nice transmission in it, that is not something you can get. Skoda's only offering it with this fully kitted out 1.5 variant. So, I mean, that's just something you have to deal with. So the 1.5 will be a lot more expensive than the 1 litre. And that's just something you're going to have to live with, because even the entry into the 1.5 range is fully loaded, and that's just how Skoda has decided to package their variants. What else do you need to know about the Skoda Slavia? Well, apart from the engine, really not much else is different from the 1 litre. You've got a chassis which feels really sound. It handles very nicely. It is set up for comfort, but there's an inherent ability to take on corners very, very confidently. The Slavia is only available with 16-inch wheels, and that was done again in the interest of comfort. So when you're driving over regular Indian roads, you're actually very sorted in the Slavia. It deals with bad roads as well as my Kushaq would, honestly, and I feel sometimes better because the smaller wheels make it a lot more comfortable. It absorbs the roads very, very nicely. It's also got a lot of ground clearance, 179 mm. That's honestly SUV territory when it comes to ground clearance. And it just remains unfazed over bad roads. You get these massive speed breakers and you think it's going to touch, it just never touches because you've got so much ground clearance. It's basically a Kushaq underneath, right? But it looks so cool. And it handles. Because it's much lower down, because the center of gravity is lower, it is a lot more nimble in the corners. Okay, you don't have the advantage of the 17-inch wheels, but you do have a car that is very capable in the bends. There's a connectedness to the chassis. There's always a sense that you know what's going on underneath you. There's a lot of information filtering through from the road onto your backside to the palm of your hands, and that's a very nice, confidence-inspiring feeling. When you chuck it around a bend, the steering, it feels very direct. There's not much by way of feedback, but there's a lot of connectedness to the front end. It's always predictable. You always know what the car's going to do, and you can feel it roll. You can feel it lean onto its outside tires and build grip. I'm sure Skoda could have made this an even better handler if they had maybe put on those 17-inch wheels, lowered the suspension a little bit, maybe stiffened it up a little bit. But you know what? In India, you need a car that's comfortable, something that you can use every day without breaking your sweat over it. And I think what they've done here is focus on that. They've focused on the usability of the sedan. And honestly, that might just make it sell, because right now a lot of apprehensions around sedans are the fact that you can't use them every day because the roads in India are so bad. You can't road trip in them with as carefree a manner that you would in an SUV. But guess what? The Slavia does all of that tremendously well. And you can do exactly what you would do in an SUV with the Slavia. And I think that's its biggest USP, in addition to the fact that it's a really, really enthusiastic driver's car. All in all, the Slavia, it's really impressive. I mean, this is a proper enthusiast car. This is a proper car that can put a smile on your face. There really isn't a sedan like this in the Indian market right now. Because the Honda City, the Hyundai Verna, well, they're nice cars, but they don't make as much power. They don't have a turbocharged 1.5 litre engine. And the Slavia, it sticks to Skoda's strengths of delivering a car that will put a smile on the enthusiast's face. The sensible ones, let them buy the Kushaks. This is a car that you want to drive, you want to own, you want to have fun in. Listen to this. Just listen to this. What fun. What fun. So what do I think of the Skoda Slavia 1.5? For starters, it's got a really nice engine. It's smooth, it's powerful. It's really what the enthusiast wants. The gearbox as well. You've got the option of the manual and the DSG, and the manual gives you plenty of involvement. The chassis, it handles well. So it really has all the makings of a proper sporty sedan. Where does it sit compared to its rivals? Well, the Honda City, the Hyundai Verna, they all make a lot less power than this. So this doesn't really have a direct rival in India right now. And then how do you place it in the Indian market? I think you need to look at it this way. Skoda isn't selling the Octavia RS in India anymore. They have no plans to do so in the future either. So this can be your go-to sporty European sedan. It has all the makings of a good driver's car, and with a little bit of work, maybe 17-inch wheels, lower the suspension a little bit, you can have a proper Slavia RS.